Jesus fuck, look at this mess. Well, I'm gonna stay home again today. Well, because of, you know what, pandemic. So I might as well just do another vlog and say, fuck it. Might as well go through the Merkur collection. And maybe some of that over there as well, but the Voltron shelf is gonna get kept probably undisturbed for a while. This one's here's the Gundam shrine. Every single RX or main Gundam in the line is probably gonna get bundled up into like this sort of cubby. I actually think I need more space. The High Nouveau car has probably taken a lot of it. That's taken way too much. Even though it's like on its own specific stand, and it's like all the fin funnels at the back have been like taking too much space. Getting it to stand is also a pain in the ass, but having its shelf presence is probably one of the most important things. Got a plenty of new Gundams. The only things I'm kind of missing are the Didier, but I don't think the Didier would really work with this. I feel still got other stuff missing as well, but I'm not really too big on expanding this, even though most of the projects that I got are actually in the workshop right now. I got the obvious Mighty Lightning Collection shelf, 6-inch scale stuff here. These are miscellaneous master grades here that I cannot fit into the Gundam Shrine, so mostly just like Neo Zeon suits, Titan suits, also just standard Zeon, ESSF, AUG, whatever fractions there are. Some Transformers down at the bottom here as well. And we get to the feature presentation, the Merkur. This robot, the Marcy L. Gaim, I actually got for around 40 bucks. This goes around 60 or so. It's quite an old toy. Not many people would really understand what L. Gaim is, or how it even functions, or not many people watch the show. I think it was the forerunner for Zeta Gundam, because Marumu Naragano was the mechanical designer. He did the Hyakushiki as well. It's not kind of a very bare bones toy when you think about it. This Eagle Fighter from the Dan Cougar 1986 Godaiken. Apparently someone found these in a warehouse in Philadelphia in the US. So they've got like a bunch of spare parts. So they got a bunch of Eagle Fighters in one box they found from some old stock from a Bandai warehouse. So these were selling for really cheap. And I was trying to see if I can find like the rest without having to break the bank. Shit. Yeah, this it's a neat find. I wasn't. This was more of an impulse buying because they were really cheap. This is the GT one, not the G8 one, not to be confused. These are the quarter scale versions of the original toy. So because the original toy costs so much money. And the GT ones can be overpriced on eBay, considering that you normally find these for about $60 or less. So I'd avoid going on eBay to try to find the Chogokin line, which shouldn't really cost too much. It's pretty much a nice artifact, considering that it's not an exact one-to-one reproduction of the original Chogokin toy. Although this is like the version 5 out of the 6 versions that existed. Actually, there's only 5 versions, but 6 versions like essentially just a GA1 reissue of the version 1, which it's really going through the history of like how many versions there are is just really messy. This mumbo jumbo of a combiner, the Gobots puzzler or the machine puzzler from Machine Robo, it depends on which region you are, because like it goes under so many names. And even in Australia, this was advertised as a friendly robot. It cost me like maybe about $120-$150 for all the pieces together, because like getting these parts separately was much more cheaper than getting in a set. Nobody was selling these in the set. In fact, if people who were selling these in the set were either having two rubes instead of rubes is the black one and the zigzags the blue one, so they only have like 2 legs but they only have the 2 black ones instead. I was gonna plan to do a video review on this sometime. It takes a while to write scripts. I don't know why I put 18 on the mecha shelf, but because like there's nowhere else to put it. I really have nowhere else to put 18 because this was supposed to be built for a hobby shop that I usually go regularly, but because I can't go too far and I don't want to drive up to Ravenhall in case I would get the contaminated and all that, it's not really worth the risk. So this took me a while because like the whole process was a pain in the ass to actually complete, and I'm keeping it in this pose because I don't want to move it, and I don't feel like moving it would flake off some of the paint that's on the skirt because the skirt just flakes off the plastic. It's so bad. This whole figure in itself is just bad for painting. This one I kind of gone on a whim. This was kind of cheap because Victory Robos don't go for very much. There aren't many parts to lose and pretty much complete at this point, considering that this is a very old toy. One of the yellow's okay, but the white plastic's starting to sun fade because of where this was stored, but it isn't as terrible as many other specimens seen on eBay. Keeping in mind this is the Japanese version with the die-cast arm pieces there, and this die-cast in the center as well, and the feet as another addition. So it's not really much of a heavy piece compared to the next piece, which is this bastard, and I still haven't sold this off because I didn't want to sell this off, and I decided it's might as well worth keeping. These 2 feet are just bare metal, everything else is plastic, but the core figure inside of it, which if you know Bultaris or the Torazord, it's die-cast as well. I think this emblem's a bit die-cast. I can feel the cold touch technique on that. Much more heavier than the Victory Robo for some reason. Possibly because like with the addition of the core robot, sandwiches in between, metal chains as well. Kakure Daishogun I also got on the whim, but that's only because it was pretty much in its beat up condition and I tried to restore it. Although I'm still yet to replace the Gold Star, the Red Ape Sword. Sun fade damage has pretty much stopped this piece from going in flushly, so it's like all bent in that because the plastic somehow warped. I don't know why. It's a bit silly looking at this point. The clown face, it almost looks like Krusty.
I'm seeing double here. 4 Krusties.
This giant ass feet, and the overall proportion is just like protruding out so much, but I don't know, I have some sort of soft spot with this mecha for some reason. It's probably because how the colors are laid out on this mecha, it's just kind of gets to me there. And we don't forget about this thing, this dom head. Not really else that much to say. And that'll do it for the mecha shelf, so I hope that's something.